What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some very important levels to watch for and what I see on the charts moving forward. But please note that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that right now the market's in a very, very interesting place. We saw the market dip a bit, but we haven't lost critical support to turn really bearish yet. We haven't broken some key resistance to turn really, really bullish. We're still in the middle, and the market is once again slowing a bit, but we're going to be watching some very, very key levels. So I'll talk about what the charts are suggesting in just a minute. Just note that for today, at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions coming out. Might cause some volatility, but once again, guys, I'm not expecting anything too crazy. But that's pretty much it for data, at least for the time being. Now, there's also this news that came out that Justin Trudeau is saying that Canada is going to be imposing a 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, not to mention a 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum products from China. So that's some big news that came out for the EV sector as part of why we're seeing a dip right now. And besides that, I'm not seeing too much major headlines thus far. So what's happening with the charts? The answer is gave every single person a warning that SPY could push for that 563 to 565 range. Historically, that's a tough resistance. And I told you to be very careful to see if we get a rejection off there or not. And as a result of what happened, SPY came just under 564. And then we got this rejection all the way down to 560. And since then, we've been shuffling. So, what do I see about the trend? Here's my answer, okay? We're not officially very bearish and we're not officially very bullish. Why do I say that? Because when you zoom out like this, SPY has this tough resistance at 565. We haven't broken that yet. If we had broken that, yes, we could be pushing for new all-time highs. But so far, every time SPY is hitting 563 to 565, we're kind of struggling. So you could see how that resistance is very tough. However, when it comes to support, we haven't lost critical support yet. Our critical support is where this red rectangle is. This is going to be our zone of support, the 556 area. If SPY were to dip over the next few days, hypothetically, right, whether the catalyst is Nvidia's earnings or not, whatever the catalyst is, hypothetically, if we were to lose 556, then that's when I'm going to turn more bearish. That's when I'm going to become concerned. But we haven't done that yet. So that implies we're still in the range between 556 and the all-time high, and that's where SPY has been for the last week and a half. So we have to just give it time and see which way it goes. Now, for today specifically, watch support at 560. If that fails us, we're looking at 558, then 556. Our resistance is at 562. Break that, and then we could get very close to the high of the day, in my opinion, if we do get above 562 again. And then we have the all-time high above that. So right now, I think SPY is going to shuffle between 562 and 560. There is a risk of potentially dipping a little bit lower when you look at the trend, especially if you look at like the 1 hour time frame. This is looking a little bit weaker. We barely are holding support at 560. So it's showing a little bit of weakness to me, but we haven't lost critical support, so we're going to most likely just shuffle a lot more and then possibly see a dip later on. That's all I'm seeing, at least for the chart for SPY. For the time being, there is a risk of it dipping lower, but we're going to likely see a lot of shuffling. For ES, I just want to call out ES because we had 5650 as our resistance zone. Our support happened to be at 5633. If we lost that, we'd be looking for basically the 5600 area. Now, in my personal opinion, we have this like divergence that's forming right on ES, and that's part of why we saw a little bit of a dip, but it's not fully playing out unless we lose this support here. We haven't lost critical support at 5580. If we lose that support on ES, then I think this is going to be dumping a lot more, but we haven't done that yet. So that implies, just like SPY, we're still range bound. We're still stuck in this range right over here. So that's all I'm seeing, at least for ES for now. Now, I think we could dip again towards the 5630 area and then see a lot of shuffling on ES. But otherwise, I just see it just being range bound for now. As far as Nvidia goes, we had that 130 resistance. I called that out. I said that watch us if we break 132 to turn bullish to get up to 135. If we fail to break 130, I called out 126. That's exactly where Nvidia had gone to. That's where it is right now. So we have support at 126.5, hour 50 EMA. If we lose that, we're going to basically be looking for 124.7, around that area, followed by 122.8. Those are the levels I had marked. For resistance, watch 128 and 130. We're going to likely shuffle in this range because Nvidia has been stuck between 123 and 130 for the past week. So it's just range bound for now. So we're going to likely just remain range bound. I could see it dip a little bit more, but like I said before, it's just range bound price action for Nvidia for the time being. Now, Bitcoin is showing weakness. We're starting to lose 63,368. If we lose that, we're going to be looking for a bigger dip towards 62,500. So I see a risk of some downside for Bitcoin. For others out there, we have Tesla. Obviously, the news involving Canada is not the best for it. We pushed just under my resistance, so I was thinking that we'd go up to the yellow trend line, hit about 222 to 223, then we'd see a rejection. We came a little bit short of that before we came back down. And then I said to watch this trend line, this 217 area. If we held this, we could have seen some consolidation. But if we lost this, I said we'd be dipping for 215, then potentially 212. That's where we ended up going to. 212 is also where our 200 EMA happens to be. So if we lose 212, you're going to be looking at this 210 area. That's going to be critical support for Tesla. Notice that we're making lower highs here, so it's not a very, very good sign for us. And if we lose this low here, I think Tesla's at risk of dumping down to 208 and potentially down to 202 for a bigger dump if we lose the 210 area. So it's very critical support for us. The 208 and 210 support zone. I also want to call out that our resistance is at 215 and 217. And I think that for now, I'm seeing buyers defending 212. So we're going to likely see some shuffling between 212 and 215. I do believe that there is a risk of some downside because of the fact that we're making lower highs. So I just want to warn you to be careful with Tesla. For NQ, exactly what I told you would end up happening is what happened. So I said the odds favored that this would likely try to push, and we might get very close to the 20,000 area, maybe come a little bit below that. And if we established a lower high, we'd be looking for rejection. So right here, we established a lower high compared to this high, and we got this rejection. This also resembles like a head and shoulders. So look at the range on NQ. We have 19,750 as resistance and then 19,500 as support. Lose that, we're going to be dipping all the way down to, I'd say, 19,400 flat, and that's going to drag our futures lower. I think there's a risk of it dipping lower towards the lower 19,000s, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Right now, we also have a slanted head and shoulders like structure on the QQQ. It doesn't guarantee anything unless we lose support, however. So we're looking at 475 as support. We have critical support at 473. If we close below this, there's going to be a bigger dump for the QQQ most likely. If we hold above this, we could try to rebound for that 477 target. Right now, we look a little bit more bearish, so I do see a risk of us dipping, but I'm not going to turn it super bearish unless we lose this target at 473. So far, we're holding support, and we'll see if we could try to reclaim 478 and then 480 or not. So watch this range between this 475 to 478 area. We're going to likely shuffle around here, and we'll see how things go. For Aapl has support at 223.8 and resistance at 227. We've been going back and forth and back and forth. If we lose 223, I do see a risk of us dipping down towards this imbalances at 222. So it's kind of like a head and shoulders. So I do see a risk of us dipping. So we'll see how things go. So be very, very patient. For the IWM, we have 222 as our resistance zone. I mentioned to everyone this might push higher, but to watch this zone, so 222 to 224 is where it has a lot of chop, and it does tend to reject close to that area and to the mid 220s. So that's been our resistance. We're barely holding support at 220. If it doesn't hold, we're going to be looking for 217 and then 216. Our resistance is at 221. This does have a risk of it getting closer to 220 flats, and we'll see how it reacts to that. For coin, I called out 212. I said if we break that, we're looking for 216. If not, we're looking for 208 at least. We actually broke below 208. Now we're dipping down to support. Our support to watch for is at 203. If that fails, we're going down to 200. If that holds, we could shuffle. I do see a risk of us getting closer to 203 if 205 breaks. So I'm seeing some weakness developing. This could lead to a bigger dip, so be careful with coin. For Amzn, we have kind of like a head and shoulders like structure as well. We're barely holding 175. If we do lose that, I think we're going down to 172. Our resistance is going to be at 177. So we're barely holding support on Amzn, but we look more bearish. Meta looks more bearish because we lost this 520 area, or at least we're starting to lose it. So it's not doing a good job of this double top bearish divergence. So I think if we were to reclaim 528, we turn back up. If not, we're at risk of dipping down towards 515, then eventually this 509 area. So I do see a risk of downside. For Microsoft, we have kind of like a head and shoulders like structure as well. We have 418 as resistance, and then there's a risk of us dipping all the way down to about this 414 is our support. If that fails us, so we're looking for 412 and potentially all the way down to 408. For Google, Google is also looking a little bit weak right here. We have this very, very nice looking structure. We're forming a flag right over here. The issue with Google is we formed a big wick here. So we're going to be watching to see on the 4-hour time frame. Do we close above this to try to push, or are we about to get a rejection? So far, it's favoring a rejection because of this wick. But to truly confirm rejection, you want to see it lose 166. If it loses 166, we're going to see a drop. Haven't done that yet. It's still kind of shuffling, so we'll see. With that being said, guys, that's it for my analysis of the markets. We're just shuffling right now. We did see a bit of rejection. Remember, SPY is not officially bearish. We haven't lost key support. The QQQ is closer to its key support, but hasn't lost it yet. So the market's not officially super bearish. We're just seeing a temporary dip, and we'll see how things go from here. So be very patient. Let the market do its thing, and we'll see how things end up developing through the levels. Thank you for listening, guys. I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours for another update, and peace out.